The Bentley door swung open at Lagos Continental Mall. Kofi Mensah emerged, tailored Italian suit, gold cufflinks catching afternoon light. Then he saw her, a homeless girl, crouched beside his daughter. White chalk in filthy hands, teaching mathematics on the marble bench. His blood turned cold. Step away from my child. Afua's face, radiant with understanding seconds ago, crumpled. The homeless girl, Amma, looked up. Dirt streaked her cheek, but her eyes held something Kofi couldn't name. Dignity, maybe. Or pity. Security guards appeared. Shoppers stopped, phones rising. Dad, she was just helping herself to your sympathy. Kofi flicked a 1,000 naira note. It landed at Amma's feet like an insult. People like you teach begging, not equations. Disappear before I call the police. Amma stood slowly. Gathered her worn blue journal. Left the money. Have you ever been judged before anyone heard your truth? 2 hours. That's how long it took for Kofi's world to fracture. The video hit Twitter first, then Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Someone had filmed everything. The chalk equations on marble, Afua's glowing face, Kofi's arctic voice cutting through the mall corridor. People like you teach begging, not equations. By noon, the clip had 127,000 shares, but the narrative belonged to Kofi. His PR team had moved like surgeons, flipping the story before it could metastasize. Channel 7 News froze the frame on Amma's dirt-stained hand, near Afua's shoulder. The chyron below, Billionaire protects child from mall vagrant. His phone buzzed with praise. Finally, someone who prioritizes safety over optics. Kofi Mensah, father first, Billionaire second. The governor himself texted, "Well handled." Kofi sat in his 47th floor office, watching Lagos sprawl beneath him like gold circuitry at sunset. Behind his desk hung an oil portrait, himself receiving the Education Philanthropist of the Year award. Crystal trophy, broad smile. The irony never touched him. His assistant appeared at the door. "Sir, legal wants confirmation on the enforcement protocols. Tell them to proceed. All 37 properties. Immediate effect. And the reward announcement? 500,000 naira. Anyone who provides information leading to proper intervention services." Kofi swiveled toward her. "Make sure the press understands. We're offering help, not punishment. Compassion through proper channels." The assistant nodded and left. Through the glass wall, Kofi could see his executive team celebrating a stock price bump. Good news traveled fast. Somewhere down there, beneath the golden circuitry, Amma was probably digging through trash. The thought didn't trouble him. He'd drawn a line. Lines protected families. Under Ido Bridge, the smell of kerosene mixed with sewage and frying gari. Amma sat cross-legged on cardboard, the blue journal open but unreadable. Yesterday's rain had bled 3 pages into abstract chaos, Fibonacci sequences, dissolving like her father's last coherent words. 8 families shared this concrete cave. Tarps stretched between support beams, creating quilted walls that flapped in the evening wind. A woman named Blessing stirred watery stew over a camping stove. Children kicked a deflated soccer ball that made wet slapping sounds against the pillar. "You need to leave, Lagos." Blessing didn't look up from her pot. "That man owns half the city, long arms." "Long memory." Amma traced a ruined equation with her finger. "Where would I go?" "Anywhere he isn't." But everywhere was somewhere Kofi Mensah owned or influenced or controlled. Amma had learned that the hard way. She'd tried 3 soup kitchens last week, all in Mensah-funded facilities. All suddenly at capacity when she arrived, Blessing's teenage son Tunde jogged down the embankment with his phone raised. "It's everywhere. The video. They're saying you tried to kidnap his daughter." Amma closed her eyes, breathed through her nose. Counted backward from 10 in prime numbers. 18 months ago, she'd been Lagos State University's top mathematics student. Scholarship recipient. Her father, a taxi driver with calloused hands and infinite pride, had framed her acceptance letter. "My daughter the professor," he'd say to passengers. Then stage 4 pancreatic cancer arrived like an eviction notice. Sold the taxi. Sold their Surulere flat. Moved into cheaper and cheaper rooms while hospital bills climbed. The final invoice, 847,000 naira. Her father died on a Tuesday. The debt collector called on Wednesday. The university registrar had been kind but firm. "Come back when your situation stabilizes." That was 14 months ago. Amma's enrollment status withdrawn. Her permanent address, none. Her official existence, erased. Now she taught 12 street children daily using chalk and salvaged textbooks. None had birth certificates. None existed on any government registry. Like her, Tundi thrust his phone closer. The comments section scrolled like poison. Finally, someone stops these predators. Street rats spreading disease. My tax naira shouldn't feed vagrants. One comment had 4,200 likes. Kofi Mensah for president. We need leaders who draw lines. Amma handed back the phone. Across the bridge, that little girl, Afua, was probably solving quadratic equations right now. Seeing the pattern, understanding the beauty, that would have to be enough. 43 journalists packed Mensah Foundation's marble and glass auditorium. Cameras formed a mechanical forest. Kofi approached the podium like a general inspecting conquered territory. Measured steps, clear eyes, shoulders back. I want to address yesterday's incident with absolute transparency. His voice filled the room without effort. As a father, as an employer of 1,700 Lagosians, and as someone who believes safety and compassion must coexist, he let that phrase breathe. His speechwriter deserved a raise. Under Section 12 of the Lagos Enterprising Youth Act of 2024, private security personnel have both the authority and the obligation to ensure commercial spaces remain secure. Last year, across our 37 properties, we processed 1,214 removal incidents. Each one documented, each one necessary. A reporter from Guardian Nigeria raised her hand. Mr. Mensah, witnesses say the woman was teaching your daughter mathematics. Witnesses also said she appeared without invitation, without identification, and made physical contact with a minor. Kofi's jaw tightened microscopically. I'm announcing a 500,000 naira reward for verifiable information that connects this individual with proper social services. If she genuinely needs help, she'll accept it through legitimate channels. Translation: turn yourself in or be turned in. Every journalist heard it. The Mensah Foundation distributed 42 million naira to vetted educational programs this fiscal year. He straightened his cufflinks. Gold. Engraved excellence through education. We support those who work within systems, not around them. We fund potential, not pity. Applause erupted. Camera flashes turned him into a constellation. In her bedroom across the city, Afua watched the live stream on her tablet. Her hands shook as she pulled out last week's makeup test. The same test she'd failed 3 weeks ago with 42%. The same equations Amma had explained in 15 minutes using chalk and patience. The new score at the top, 94%. Her mathematics teacher's note in red ink, stunning improvement. What changed, Afua? Everything changed. A homeless woman with dirt under her fingernails had shown her that numbers told stories. That patterns existed everywhere if you knew how to look. On screen, her father's mouth moved with words about systems and proper channels and excellence. Afua looked at the white chalk piece hidden in her pencil case. Then at her father's face, magnified and righteous and wrong. She closed the tablet, opened her advanced calculus textbook, found the chapter on exponential decay, how things break down, how systems fail, how truth gets buried under layers of comfortable lies. And for the first time in her 12 years, Afua understood what her math teacher meant when she said, "Show your work." She began to write. The eviction notice appeared Thursday morning at 6:47 a.m., stapled to the Ido Bridge support beam like an execution order. Lagos State Urban Renewal Initiative, 72-hour mandatory clearance notice. Effective, October 7, 2025. Cook's Amama's fingers trembled as she read the fine print. Unauthorized habitation of public infrastructure constitutes criminal trespass under Section 8B of the Lagos Municipal Code. Below that, enforcement coordinated with Mensah Properties Security Services. His name. Right there in government letterhead. Blessing tore the notice down, crumpled it. 3 days to disappear. Where does he think we'll go? Around them, families erupted into controlled chaos. Mr. Okafor, former teacher, 73 years old, folded his tarp with arthritic hands. The Adeyemi family bundled their possessions into 2 fertilizer sacks. By 9 a.m., 5 families had scattered like roaches when the light hits. By evening, only 3 remained. Amma, Blessing's family, and Mr. Okafor, who moved too slowly to run anymore. You should leave tonight, Mr. Okafor said, wheezing. Mensah doesn't make empty threats. I've seen men like him. They salt the earth. Amma had already tried. 4 women's shelters, all mysteriously full. 2 churches, capacity issues. The public library denied her entrance. Her photo flagged in their database. Even the government assistance office turned her away at reception. System error. Come back Monday. Monday would be too late. The eviction was Sunday morning. Kofi Mensah's roots went deeper than concrete. You couldn't see them until you tried to move. Friday, 3:15 p.m., St. Matthew's Church courtyard, hidden behind crumbling walls covered in bougainvillea. Seven children sat cross-legged on swept concrete. 7 instead of yesterday's 9. Word was spreading. The mole woman brought trouble. But these 7 came anyway. Amma divided a borrowed mango into 8 pieces with a borrowed knife. Kioma, if this mango is one whole, what fraction is each piece? The 9-year-old girl counted on her fingers. 1/8. 1/8, perfect. Now if you eat 3 pieces, what percentage of the mango did you eat? Chioma's face scrunched in concentration. Her brother Emeka grabbed 3 pebbles and arranged them. Stared, rearranged them. Then his eyes went wide. 37.5%. 37.5, Amma corrected gently. But yes, you see it now. Emeka bounced. I see it. Teacher, I see it! That sound, pure mathematical joy, was why Amma kept teaching. Why she'd hidden her father's differential equations textbook in her jacket lining when the debt collectors came. Why she filled her blue journal while living under a bridge with 72 hours until forced removal. Knowledge couldn't be evicted. Behind her, unnoticed, an elderly woman stood in the courtyard entrance. She'd been there 11 minutes, watching Amma sketch a complex proof in chalk on the ground. Something about sequence optimization, drawn entirely from memory. Numbers flowing like poetry. The woman's hand went to her mouth. She watched 3 more minutes, took a photo on her phone, then quietly disappeared. Dr. Chinwe Okoro had been searching for the mall mathematics woman for 4 days, not to expose her. To understand her, the viral video showed humiliation and social media fury. But a separate post on Math Overflow, an academic forum, showed something else entirely. Someone had enhanced the freeze frame of those marble bench equations, posted them with one question. Graduate student. Professor? Chu writes Fibonacci optimization sequences in public. Dr. Okoro had taught mathematics at Lagos State University for 41 years before her 2023 retirement. She'd supervised 127 graduate theses. She knew genius when it appeared, even covered in street dust and scandal. Finding Amma required detective work. The Math Overflow post led to a Reddit thread. Reddit led to a mention of street teacher near Ido. She'd visited 6 churches before a priest at St. Matthew's said, "There's a young woman who teaches children in our courtyard. Very thin, very kind. Carries a blue notebook like it's scripture." Dr. Okoro left a note with the priest, written on the back of her old university business card, to the mathematics teacher. "I'm not police, not social services, not media. Just someone who recognizes patterns. Visit if you're comfortable. No obligation. No judgment. Dr. Chinwe Okoro, Professor Emeritus, Mathematics, 14 Murtala Street." Yaba. Her phone rang at 7:52 p.m. that evening. "Dr. Okoro?" A young woman's voice guarded as barbed wire. "Father Paul said you wanted to meet?" "Only if you feel safe. I saw your equations. The Fibonacci sequences. They're extraordinary." Silence stretched like pulled taffy. "Then what do you want from me?" "Nothing. I want to offer you something. A library, a desk, a quiet room. That's all." "Why?" The word carried years of learned suspicion. Dr. Okoro looked at the photograph on her wall. Her daughter Ngozi in graduation robes, master's degree in sociology, smile bright as a promise. Ngozi, who'd married wrong, who'd escaped violence but not trauma, who'd lived on Lagos's streets for 8 months while her family searched, who'd overdosed in a Yaba public toilet on March 14, 2021, 3 days before they found her, 4 years ago. "The grief still had teeth, because I failed to help someone when I should have," Dr. Okoro said quietly. "I'm trying not to repeat that mistake." The line went silent so long she thought the call had dropped. Then, "I'll come. 1 hour." Amma arrived at 9:04 p.m. the blue journal pressed against her ribs like a shield. Dr. Okoro's flat was small, maybe 600 square feet, but every wall was books. Spines in English, French, Igbo, mathematics, poetry, history, theology. The desk by the window held a brass lamp and a chessboard with a game in progress. The air smelled of fried akara, fresh bread, and old paper. Sit anywhere. When did you last eat a real meal? Ama's stomach answered before she could lie. Dr. Okoro brought akara anyway, 6 pieces on a blue plate, with cold malt drink and sliced mango. Set them on the coffee table, then sat across the room with her own book, giving Ama permission to choose. After 4 minutes, Ama ate 1 piece. After 7, she ate 3 more. After 10 minutes, she spoke. I was Lagos State University, mathematics, 3rd-year scholarship student. I left to care for my father. Cancer, stage 4. The bills were, she stopped. Numbers had words for some things. Not this, I remember you. Dr. Okoro closed her book. Ama Osei, you won the 2023 Undergraduate Research Prize. Stochastic Modeling of Traffic Patterns. Ama's throat closed. Someone remembered. Someone knew she'd existed in rooms with lights and desks and futures. That was 2 years ago. Now I'm the vagrant from the video. The predator. Her voice cracked like old concrete. He called me worthless in front of his child. The same child I showed how to see beauty in equations. Dr. Okoro set her book aside. May I see your journal? This was her mind. Her lost privacy. Her only proof she was still human. But Dr. Okoro's eyes held something Ama recognized, grief hammered into purpose. She handed it over. Dr. Okoro turned pages like they were made of spider silk. Stopped at a sequence spanning 4 sheets. Her eyebrows climbed. She flipped forward, backward, forward again. Finally looked up, eyes wide. Ama, do you know what this is? Practice. I solve problems to stay sharp. To remember I'm more than where I sleep. This... Dr. Okoro's finger trembled on the page. This is the Mensa optimization problem. 3 years ago, his company offered 250,000 naira to anyone who could solve their supply chain prediction algorithm. 1,200 mathematicians tried globally. Not one succeeded. Ama blinked. The warehouse distribution problem? You solved it. Dr. Okoro carefully placed the journal on the table like it contained lightning. Here, 8 months ago, according to your date stamp. You solved Kofi Mensah's impossible problem while living under a bridge. The room tilted. Ama gripped the chair arm. It was just... I worked through it because I was angry. Because I needed to prove I could still think. It's not... It's elegant. It's revolutionary. And it's proof. Dr. Okoro leaned forward. I have a colleague, Professor James Chen, MIT peer reviewer for International Journal of Applied Mathematics. If I submit this anonymously for verification, would you trust me? Anonymous why? Because mathematics should speak before identity. Let Kofi Mensah see the solution is valid before he knows your name. Let him choke on his own words. Ama thought about Afua's face, that moment of understanding, pure and perfect. Thought about her father saying education is wealth they can't repossess. Thought about Kofi's voice, teaching failure, not mathematics. How long for peer review? 3 weeks. Maybe 4 if they're thorough. And if it's legitimate? Dr. Okoro smiled like sunrise. Then you collect your 250,000. And Kofi Mensah learns humility costs nothing and teaches everything. Ama looked at her journal. 8 months of chalk dust and hunger, and proof she still existed. Submit it. Across the city, in a bedroom with silk curtains and air conditioning. Afua typed frantically. She'd been researching for 3 hours. Every search, homeless woman Lagos, mall teacher, Ido Bridge education, returned news articles praising her father or mocking Ama. Then she changed tactics. She searched the exact equations from her photograph, the chalk formulas Ama had written on the marble bench. Google returned one match, a Math Overflow forum post from 6 days ago. Can anyone identify these proofs? Graduate-level Fibonacci work, photographed in public. Source unknown. The comments were academic gossip gold, dumb math lady. Whoever wrote this understands sequence optimization at PhD level. Calculus King 99. Homeless woman teaching Billionaire's kid. Best mathematical origin story ever. Prof. Theorem Thurston. I showed this to colleagues at Lagos State. One prof said the handwriting looks familiar, investigating. Afua screenshot everything. Opened a fresh document. Titled it, The Truth About the Mall Incident, A Daughter's Investigation. She began typing her father's quotes from the press conference, began documenting the timeline, began building a case. Outside her window, Lagos sprawled like circuitry. 9 million people, 9 million stories, one woman with a blue journal holding a weapon she didn't yet know she possessed. Sunday. Morning was 43 hours away. The equation was almost balanced. 3 weeks crawled by like wounded animals. The eviction never came. Sunday. October 7th arrived with grey skies and a new notice stapled over the old one. Temporary suspension pending municipal review. Case Marner LG 2025-8842. No explanation. No timeline. Just enough uncertainty to keep everyone afraid. Amma knew this was Dr. Okoro's doing. Favors called in, palms greased with academic reputation instead of cash. But it only bought time. Kofi's net was still tightening. October 15th. 3 Mensa-owned pharmacies instituted enhanced security protocols. Amma's photo distributed to every counter. She couldn't buy aspirin. October 19th. The mobile money kiosk on Broad Street refused her transactions. System flagged your ID number. October 23rd. A grocery store security guard followed her through aisles, hand on his radio, until she left without buying anything. Her world shrank to 6 blocks of invisible walls. Meanwhile, Dr. Okoro spent hours on encrypted calls with someone named James. Amma heard fragments through the closed door. Peer review process. 3 independent verifiers. Need 2 more weeks. 2 weeks for what? Dr. Okoro wouldn't say. It's better if you don't know yet. Safer. Safer. As if anything was safe anymore. October 22nd, 8:47 p.m. Dr. Okoro's desk. Video call in progress. 3 university freshman faces glowed on the laptop screen. Dr. Okoro's scholarship students, nervous about midterm calculus. Amma walked them through derivatives, limits, the chain rule. Her voice steady even though her hands shook from low blood sugar. When the call ended, one student lingered. Folake 19 engineering major. Miss Amma? Her voice dropped to a whisper. Are you the woman from the viral video? The mall? Amma's finger froze on the mouse. The cursor blinked. Yes. My little sister attends Corona School. Same class as Afua Mensa. Folake glanced over her shoulder like someone might be listening. She says Afu has been different, asking questions about you. Where you went to school. If you're okay. What really happened. What kind of questions? The kind that get her sent to the principal's office. She's been arguing with teachers about homeless rights. Her father pulled her from debate club 2 weeks ago. Folake bit her lip. My sister says Afua's building something. Like evidence. She takes photos of everything now. After Folake logged off, Amma sat in the dark, wondering what a 12-year-old could possibly build that would matter. Dr. Okoro appeared with chamomile tea. Too hot, too sweet medicinal. James says the verification is almost complete. Another week, maybe 10 days. Verification of what? Dr. Okoro's smile was careful, controlled. Patience. I'll tell you everything when it's confirmed. I promise. October 28th, 10:34 a.m. Somewhere in Cambridge, Massachusetts, Professor James Chen opened his 14th email of the morning from Dr. Chinwe Okoro. Subject, any update? He replied, today, publishing today. Hold tight. At 2:47 p.m. Lagos time, 9:47 a.m. Boston, the International Journal of Applied Mathematics website updated with a new featured article. Breakthrough solution to Mensa optimization problem by 3:00 p.m. It was on Twitter. By 3:30 p.m., Math Overflow forums crashed from traffic. By 4:00 p.m., Bloomberg had the story. The narrative was too delicious. Mysterious genius solves billionaire's impossible problem after his entire R&D team failed for 3 years. Anonymous mathematician requesting prize funds be held pending identity verification. Press conference scheduled November 15th to reveal the solver. By 5:00 p.m., it was global news, and Kofi Mensa's phone would not stop ringing. Mensa Foundation headquarters, executive boardroom, 4:47 p.m. Kofi faced his board of directors with the kind of calm that comes from decades of winning. Stock price up 4.2% this quarter. Protest activity down 60%. The mall incident successfully reframed as responsible parenting. Our urban renewal partnership is removing problematic elements from 17 zones, he said, advancing the PowerPoint. Property values have increased an average of 11%. His phone buzzed. He silenced it. It buzzed again. 4 times 6. His assistant burst through the boardroom door, face drained of color. Sir, you need to see this immediately. I'm presenting to the... Sir, her voice cracked. Someone solved it. The optimization problem. The bounty. It's being published right now. The room crystallized into silence, so complete Kofi could hear his watch ticking. That's impossible. His voice came from somewhere distant. Our team has 12 PhDs, peer-reviewed by MIT, Oxford, and Tokyo University. All confirmed. The media is calling it the biggest mathematical breakthrough of the decade. She thrust her tablet at him. And, sir, they're saying whoever solved it made your team look incompetent. Kofi's vision tunneled. He took the tablet with hands that felt made of ice. The journal article swam before his eyes. Abstract methodology. Pages of elegant proofs his $17 million R&D division had failed to produce in 3 years. At the bottom, one line in italics, dedicated to those who teach in the margins. His jaw clenched so hard his molars ground. Find out who submitted this. His voice was glass. I don't care what it costs. I want a name by morning. Across Lagos, in a school library during lunch period, Afua's tablet pinged with a news alert. Breaking. Mystery mathematician solves Mensa Tech's impossible problem. Her heart stopped. Then, hammered like it was trying to escape her chest, she clicked the article, scanned past the business analysis to the mathematics section. The abstract was beyond her, but the core sequences, Fibonacci optimization, recursive pattern prediction, those structures she recognized from chalk on a marble bench. From Amma's patient hands, she scrolled to comments. Already 1-200 TechCrunch. Mensa's internal innovation is dead. This is embarrassing, Dr. Math Lady. Anonymous solver must be someone Mensa wronged. This feels personal. Calculus King 99. Calling it now, this is the homeless woman from the mall, the one he humiliated. The equations match. Afua's hands shook so badly she nearly dropped the tablet. She screenshot everything, added it to her document, now 19 pages, titled What My Father Got Wrong, a Complete Record. Then she did something she'd been planning since October 21st, the day she'd found Math Overflow and started connecting dots. Created burner email, truthteller2025 protonmail.com, typed carefully. To iJam editorial board. I have evidence about your anonymous solver. Photos of the original equations from before the mall incident. I can verify identity if needed to protect them. I'm 12 and my father cannot know I sent this. Please respond only to this email. Her finger hovered. Oversend for 90 seconds, then pressed it. October 29th, 6:22. Dr. Okoro's flat. Amma woke to her borrowed phone. Ringing. Dr. Okoro's voice was breathless. Turn on the news. Any channel. Now every channel told the same story. The solution. The mystery. The global fascination with the ghost genius who'd humiliated a billionaire. This changes everything, Dr. Okoro said, appearing with coffee that smelled like burned hope. James wants to move up the press conference. November 7th instead of 15th. They're getting pressure to reveal you sooner. Why? Because Kofi is already trying to discredit the work. He's hired 3 separate firms to verify the mathematics, find any flaw, any reason to question legitimacy. Dr. Okoro sat beside her. He's also offering money for information about who submitted it. How much? 200,000 naira. Amma laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Less than the prize itself. He doesn't want to pay the prize. He wants to control who gets it. Dr. Okoro gripped her hand. We reveal you in 9 days, on our terms. Before he can poison the narrative. Through the window, Lagos woke up. Car horns, market vendors, the grinding machinery of 9 million people trying to survive another day. Somewhere out there, Kofi Mensa was plotting her destruction. What if I'm not ready? You've been ready since you solved that problem 8 months ago. You just didn't know the world was the one that wasn't ready for you. October 30th, 11 a.m. Mensa Foundation Emergency Press Conference. 47 cameras. 63 journalists. Kofi stood at the podium wearing his humility like expensive cologne. Present but not overwhelming. I want to address the recent publication directly. His voice was warm honey over cold steel. First, congratulations to whoever solved this complex problem. Mathematics advances through collaboration. We welcome breakthroughs wherever they originate. A reporter from Guardian Nigeria shouted, "Your company spent 3 years and failed. Our team explored valuable dead ends." That's innovation. Sometimes fresh eyes see what experience misses. Kofi's smile was rehearsed to the microsecond. However, I want to raise important concerns about academic integrity. Anonymous submissions are unusual. We need transparency, verification of credentials, methodology, sources, translation through subtext. Show yourself so I can destroy you. To that end, I'm funding an independent review, Nobel laureates, Fields Medal winners, unimpeachable authorities. If this solution is legitimate and original, we'll gladly honor the prize. He paused for effect. But we owe the mathematics community rigorous verification. We cannot reward potential fraud, no matter how compelling the story. Another reporter. Some speculate the solver might be someone you've publicly... Speculation is not mathematics. I judge work on merit alone. His jaw tightened 1 millimeter. When this person finds the courage to claim their work publicly, we'll have that conversation. Until then, anonymity raises questions. The press conference ended. Kofi returned to his office and opened 3 private investigator reports. One flagged something. Dr. Chinwe Okoro, retired LSU mathematics professor, had contacted MIT colleagues about anonymous submission protocols 3 weeks before publication. Kofi searched her, found her faculty history, her daughter's obituary, overdose, homeless, 2021. He smiled like a man finding the right key, called his head of security. "I need surveillance, Dr. Chinwe Okoro, 14 Myrtala Street, Yaba. Photograph everyone who visits, especially young women." Daily reports, he hung up, looked at Lagos spreading beneath him like a circuit board. The ghost was about to materialize. November 3rd, 4:15 p.m. St. Matthew's Church courtyard, Ama. Taught 17 children now. Word had spread faster than Kofi's net. The teacher was back. The teacher had defeated the billionaire, even if nobody could prove it yet. She was sketching prime number patterns in chalk when skin prickled on her neck. That ancient warning system, prey-sensing predator. She turned. A man in a charcoal suit stood at the courtyard entrance. Security earpiece, professional stance. Camera raised, click, 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 3 photos. Then he walked away like this was normal. Ama's breath stopped in her lungs. That evening, Dr. Okoro's face went gray when Ama described him. "He's found you." "Or close enough." She picked up her phone. "I'm calling James. We move the reveal to tomorrow." Tomorrow? That's November 4th, 5 days early. Before Kofi can weaponize this, Dr. Okoro was already dialing. "We control the narrative or he controls your life. Choose." Ama looked at her reflection in the darkening window. Thinner than last year, harder but still breathing. Still standing, still teaching children in hidden courtyards that patterns matter. Do it. November 4th, 11:47 p.m. Afua's bedroom. Email notification. International Journal of Applied Mathematics. Dear Concerned Party, your message received. We're accelerating identity reveal due to external pressure. If your evidence is legitimate, please call +1 617 555 0147. Ask for Dr. James Chen. Time sensitive. Afua stared at the number for 17 minutes, picked up her phone. Put it down. Picked it up again, dialed it 2 rings. Dr. Chen speaking. "Hi. Her voice was a child's voice, small, scared, hoping. "So I might know who solved your problem. Who is this?" "I'm the girl from the mall." "The daughter." Silence on the line. "Afua Mensa." Jesus Christ, a long exhale. "Does your father know you're calling?" "No, and he can't ever." Afua's voice cracked but held. "But I have photos. From the day she taught me. Before security came. Before the video. The equations match your article. You know it's a woman. Her name is Ama Ose. She's homeless because the world failed her. My father called her worthless. Tears now, hot and angry. But she's not. She showed me beauty in numbers when everyone else showed me formulas. And I need her to win." Dr. Chen's voice softened. "Afua, we're revealing her identity tomorrow. November 5th, 9 a.m. Lagos time. Can you keep this secret one more night? Yes. And after? When your father knows you helped the woman he tried to destroy. Afua looked at her document, 24 pages now, looked at the white chalk piece in its glass frame, looked at herself in the black mirror of her laptop screen. Then I tell my truth, and he can't stop me. She hung up, lay in bed staring at ceiling shadows that looked like equations. Tomorrow, the world would know. Tomorrow everything would change. Tomorrow, a homeless woman would become a mathematician again, and Afua would become the daughter who chose right over. Easy, she closed her eyes, counted backward from 100 in prime numbers until sleep finally. Came. November 5th, 9:03 a.m. The internet broke. Dr. James Chen's face filled screens in 47 countries. Behind him at MIT's mathematics building, 2 peer reviewers flanked a projection showing pages of elegant proofs, the ones that had defeated 200 mathematicians worldwide. After verification by 3 independent teams across 3 continents, we confirm this solution is legitimate, original, and revolutionary. Chen's voice was steady, professional, about to detonate a bomb. Today, at the solver's request, we reveal their identity. The screen changed, a photograph appeared. Thin face, steady eyes, dirt-stained collar, blue journal clutched like armor. Miss Ama Osi, age 19, former Lagos State University mathematics scholar. She solved the Mensa optimization problem 8 months ago while living under Ido Bridge. Lagos. Twitter crashed for 8 minutes. Reddit's mathematics subreddit went down. News outlets rewrote headlines in real time. Homeless woman Kofi Mensah called worthless. Solves his impossible problem. From bridge to breakthrough genius, he humiliated claims $250K prize. Vagrant or visionary? Ama Ose teaches billionaire mathematics hardest lesson. Kofi watched the live stream alone in his 47th floor office. His hands gripped the mahogany desk edge, knuckles white as bone. The grain of the wood pressed patterns into his palms. He squeezed harder, needing the pain to prove this was real. That woman. The vagrant he'd removed from his daughter's presence. She'd solved his company's 3-year failure while living under a bridge. His $17 million R&D team, 12 PhDs, corner offices, espresso machines had failed. She'd succeeded with chalk and hunger. His phone vibrated like a dying insect. 50 calls, 70, 123. He watched the screen light up with names. Governor Sanwo-Olu, Board Chair Okonkwo, his biggest investor, CNN Africa. The silence in his office was thick enough to choke on. He opened Twitter instead. Watched his legacy burn in 280-character flames. Top trending, Ama Osi genius, 4.7 tweets. Second, Mensah humiliated, 3.2 tweets. Third, teach in the margins, 2.8 tweets. Someone had created a split-screen video. Left side his press conference, people like you teach begging, not mathematics. Right side Ama's journal proofs, elegant and undeniable. Caption, she taught your impossible problem to sit down. 6 million shares in 34 minutes. His assistant knocked. He said nothing. She knocked again, voice muffled through mahogany. Sir, the board demands an emergency meeting. Reporters surrounding the building. Stock dropped 11% in pre-market. Leave. His voice belonged to a stranger. Everyone leave, but no one could leave. The story had metastasized beyond control. By noon, international news crews camped outside Mensa Tower like an invading army. By 2 p.m., protesters arrived with signs, homeless worthless and Ama arrogance. By 4 p.m., 3 board members had resigned via public statement. November 6th, 7:47 p.m., Mensa Foundation Annual Gala, already scheduled, now unavoidable. Lagos Continental Hotel Ballroom, 14,000 square feet of marble and crystal. 600 guests in evening wear, 3 ice sculptures melting slowly under television lights. Orchestra, 22 pieces hired at 80,000 naira played Vivaldi's 4 Seasons while the autumn of Kofi's reputation accelerated into winter. Cameras clustered at the entrance like mechanical predators. CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, Reuters, channels 7, 10 and 13. Livestream counters climbed 2.3 million viewers and rising. This was supposed to be coronation night, the annual gala where Kofi distributed charitable millions. and collected praise like interest. Now it was his public execution. Backstage, Kofi adjusted his bow tie for the 7th time. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. His PR team had written him a statement, gracious, humble, magnanimous. Each word tasted like swallowing ground glass. Mr. Mensah. His assistant appeared, face pale as paper. Dr. Chinwe Okoro just arrived. With Ama Osi, they're requesting entry. The floor tilted. What? They're in the main lobby. 47 cameras on them. Dr. Okoro says she's here to discuss your generous donation to Bridge Scholars Program. I authorize no, sir. Her voice dropped to a whisper. If you turn them away now on camera after everything, she didn't finish. The ending was obvious. Career suicide. Kofi closed his eyes. Counted to 10 in prime numbers. A habit from mathematics classes 40 years ago before money taught him different equations. Seat them. Front row. Table 3. He would face this like everything else. With control. With power. With money that always eventually won. Except this time. The variables had changed. 34 p.m. The ballroom entrance. Ama stepped through mahogany doors, wearing a borrowed navy dress. Simple. Long-sleeved, dignified. Dr. Okoro beside her in gold silk that caught the chandelier light. Every head swiveled like synchronized machinery. Whispers rippled through the crowd like wind through tall grass. That's her... the homeless one? She doesn't look homeless. Genius never looked like anything. You fool! Ama walked through the whispers like walking through smoke. Cameras pivoted. Flashes erupted. She counted 17 in 3 seconds, then stopped counting. The marble floor was cold through her borrowed shoes. The air smelled like expensive perfume and fear. They reached table 3, front row, center, impossible to miss. The chairs were velvet. Burgundy, soft, completely alien to someone who'd spent 8 months sleeping on cardboard. Ama sat. The room watched. At table 1, board member Patricia Okonkwo leaned to her husband. This is a disaster. At table 5, Kofi's chief rival, tech CEO Adebayo Chen, smiled into his champagne glass. At table 8, a society columnist typed frantically on her phone. Then the orchestra stopped mid-phrase. Vivaldi's Autumn cut off like someone severed its throat. The conductor's baton froze in mid-air. The silence that followed had weight, had texture, had teeth. 600 people stopped breathing as one organism. Kofi emerged from backstage. His tuxedo was perfect. His posture was perfect. His smile was perfect. Everything about him was architectural precision, except the muscle beneath his left eye, which twitched like a trapped insect. He walked to the podium. 12 steps. Each one echoed. His Italian leather shoes on marble sounded like a countdown. The microphone clicked on, a small sound that filled the cavernous room. Good evening. His voice was warm, honey poured over cold steel. Thank you for joining the Mensah Foundation's 17th annual gala. Tonight we celebrate excellence, achievement, the transformative power of education. Someone coughed in the back. It sounded like a gunshot. Kofi's eyes found Ama across 30 feet of marble floor. For 3 seconds she counted, neither moved. The entire room held its breath. Recent events have reminded us that talent exists everywhere, in expected places, and his pause was calculated. Unexpected ones. His gaze locked onto Ama. I want to address this directly. Miss Ama Ose, would you join me? The room erupted. Applause, some genuine, most performative, all deafening. Ama's legs felt borrowed as she stood. Dr. Okoro squeezed her hand once, hard. You've got this. She walked to the stage. Cameras tracked her movement like heat-seeking missiles, climbed 3 velvet-carpeted stairs, stood beside the man who'd called her worthless. Up close, she could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the foundation cracks in his mask. Kofi turned to her. The microphone caught everything. Every breath, every pause, every breaking sound, Miss Osi, I owe you an apology. The words hung in the air like smoke signals. I judged you without knowledge. I saw poverty instead of potential. He paused. The pause was too perfect, too practiced. Wrong. On behalf of Mensah Foundation, I'm pleased to donate 500,000 naira to your Bridge Scholars Program. Applause. Camera flashes. His board members nodding like synchronized puppets. But Amma didn't move, didn't smile, didn't accept Mr. Mensah. Her voice was quiet but clear. The microphone amplified it to every corner, every camera, every watching eye. 500,000 is generous, but generosity isn't justice. The applause died like someone cut its oxygen supply. Justice would be acknowledging you used government resources to evict families, that you banned me from 37 properties because I taught your daughter basic algebra, that you offered 200,000 naira bounty for information to intervene in my life, which meant criminalize my existence. Kofi's smile calcified. Miss Osei, this isn't the appropriate. When is appropriate? When cameras aren't recording. She turned to face the audience. 600 faces, 47 cameras, 2.7 million livestream viewers. You said I teach begging, not mathematics. But I taught your daughter in 15 minutes what your expensive tutors failed to teach in 3 months. Then I solved your company's impossible problem while living under the bridge you tried to demolish. A voice from table 12 shouted, "Tell him everything!" Another from table 7, "Say it louder for the back." Amma looked at Kofi, really looked. Saw the man behind the mask, the boy behind the billionaire, the fear behind the power. You don't owe me an apology. Mr. Mensah, you owe every person you've measured by their bank account instead of their brain. Every family you've evicted for existing in the wrong place. Every genius you've stepped over because they didn't wear your definition of excellence. The muscle beneath his eye spasmed. I'm offering 500,000 naira. I don't want charity. I want structural change. Then a small voice from the audience, clear as a bell cutting through fog. Dad, she's right. Every head swiveled like synchronized gears. Afua Mensah rose from table 1, family table, 12 years old in a white dress that cost more than a month's salary, holding a folder like it contained explosives. Kofi's face drained of blood in real time. Baby, sit down. No. Afua walked down the aisle between tables. Her borrowed white heels clicked on marble, a sound nothing like her father's authoritative footsteps, tentative, young, brave. I have something to say. Afua. Not now. His voice cracked like breaking ice. When then? When you've rewritten the story again. She climbed the 3 stairs, stood between Amma and her father. The physical geography spoke volumes. I'm the reason Miss Osei was at the mall. I was crying over a failed math test. 42%. She saw me struggling and helped me understand patterns, for free. Because that's what real teachers do. She opened her folder with shaking hands. This is my original failed test. This is the retake 3 days after meeting her. I scored 94%. She held both tests toward the nearest camera. The operator zoomed in. The projection screen behind them displayed the scores in numbers 10 feet high. 42%, 94%. The ballroom gasped, a collective intake of breath that sounded like the building itself was shocked. You called her worthless. Dad, but she gave me something none of your money could buy. Afua's voice cracked but didn't break. She taught me that learning isn't about being perfect. It's about seeing patterns. And the pattern I see is that you were completely, publicly, mathematically wrong. The room exploded. Not applause, something raw. Gasps, shouts, a few people standing, camera shutters rattling like machine guns. Kofi reached for his daughter. His hand trembled in the air between them. Afua, please, let's discuss this privately. She stepped away from him. Stepped toward Amma. The physical movement spoke louder than words, choosing sides. I'm sorry he hurt you, Miss Osei. I'm sorry I couldn't stop him then. But I can help now. She handed Amma the folder. This is proof. Photos of your original equations from before security came. Before the video. Before he turned you into a villain. Time-stamped, documented. True. She turned to face her father across 3 feet that might as well have been 3 miles. I'm 12. Dad. But I know the difference between protecting someone and controlling the narrative. You didn't protect me that day. You humiliated the person who helped me understand mathematics for the first time in my life. Kofi's mouth opened, closed. No sound emerged. Then Amma did something nobody expected. She reached into her dress pocket and pulled out a single worn page from her blue journal, handed it to Kofi with steady hands. This is my original solution. Dated March 7th, 2025, 8 months ago. Witnessed by Mr. Okafor at Ido Bridge. Her voice was stone steady. Your R&D team had 3 years and 17 million naira. I had chalk, hunger, and concrete. The mathematics doesn't lie about who solved what first. She looked past Kofi to the cameras, to the 600 faces, to the 3.1 million people watching worldwide. I forgive you, Mr. Mensah. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And it definitely doesn't mean accepting token donations as real change. She turned to Dr. Okoro. I'm ready to leave. Before she could step away, Kofi's voice, small, broken, stripped of every defense, stopped her. Wait, please, Amma turned. Kofi stood alone on the stage. His daughter 5 feet away, an ocean between them. His hands shook as he reached into his tuxedo jacket with fingers that looked arthritic. You're right. About everything. He pulled out folded papers. His voice barely reached the microphone. I had these prepared this morning, before I knew if I'd have the courage to actually use them. He unfolded them with trembling hands. The paper crinkled. Amplified by the microphone, it sounded like thunder. This is the deed to Ido Bridge property, 3,000 square meters. I'm transferring full ownership to Bridge Scholars Program. Lease-free, tax-free in perpetuity. For educational purposes only. The room went silent as a held breath. And this, he pulled out a second document. That is my resignation as Mensa Foundation chairman. Effective immediately. I'm stepping down. Gasps rippled through the crowd like seismic waves. Board Chair Okonkwo stood abruptly, chair scraping. Someone at table 9 shouted, Kofi, don't be hasty. But Kofi wasn't looking at them. He was looking at his daughter, Afua. His voice broke on her name. I'm sorry. For teaching you that power matters more than people. For modeling cruelty when I should have shown courage. Tears now, real ones, tracking down his face in the harsh stage lights. I almost destroyed someone extraordinary, because my ego couldn't survive being proven wrong. Then he did something even more shocking than the resignation. He reached up with shaking fingers and removed his gold cufflinks, the ones engraved Excellence Through Education, held them in his palm, looked at them, looked at Amma. These have been a lie I wore every day, his voice was raw. Real excellence doesn't need engraving. It just exists. In bridge shelters and ballrooms and anywhere minds dare to think. He walked to the edge of the stage, set the cufflinks on the podium edge. The small metal sound as they hit marble rang through the silent room like a bell, walked back to Amma, held out the property deed with both hands. This doesn't make us even. This doesn't erase what I did, but it makes me honest for the first time in a very long time. Amma took the deed. The paper was warm from his pocket. Official stamps. Legal signatures, real. She looked at him, this powerful man reduced to truth. You're right, Mr. Mensah, we're not even. But you're finally on the right side of the equation. She walked off the stage. Dr. Okoro stood to meet her. Afua followed, white dress trailing. The three of them, genius, guardian, and child, walked through 600 standing people toward the exit. The ovation started at table 12, spread like wildfire. Within 5 seconds, everyone was standing. Within 10, they were cheering. The chandeliers trembled. The ice sculptures wept faster. Behind them, on the empty stage, Kofi stood alone beside abandoned cufflinks that glinted under television lights, smaller than he'd ever been. Finally learning the lesson mathematics had been trying to teach him all along. Some equations balance through subtraction, not addition, and humility can only be earned through the ruins of what pride destroyed. November 18th, 723. Term 12 days after the gala, the coffee shop in Yaba smelled like roasted ground nuts and burnt sugar. Kofi sat at a plastic table, red cracked along one edge, by a window filmed with dust. Ceiling fan squeaking overhead, 3 rotations per squeak. He'd counted yesterday, and the day before black coffee in a chipped mug. 1 Tuesday naira. He'd been coming here 9 days straight. Nobody recognized him without the tailored suits. Just another middle-aged man in a faded polo shirt, watching Lagos flow past instead of bending around him. His phone buzzed against the plastic table, a sound he used to ignore, now the only thing that connected him to a world that had moved on. Text from his lawyer. Board accepted resignation. Transition complete. Want farewell statement drafted. Kofi typed with one finger. No statement. Let it end. The door chimed. Metal bell on a spring. Dr. Okoro entered, saw him, froze for 2 seconds. Then walked over, sandals slapping linoleum, may I? He nodded at the empty chair. She sat. Ordered hibiscus tea from the teenage server, who didn't know she was sitting with a man who used to own buildings. 3 minutes of silence. Just the ceiling fan squeaking and traffic horns outside, and 2 people who'd been enemies learning to exist in adjacent spaces. Dr. Okoro placed an envelope on the table, manila, slightly worn. Ama wanted you to have this, in person. Not through mail? Kofi's hands trembled as he opened it. Notebook paper inside lined, torn carefully from a spiral binding. Ama's handwriting. Precise, mathematical, unforgiving. Mr. Mensah, Dr. Okoro says closure requires communication. I'm not sure I agree, but I'm trying. I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, you don't, not yet. Not because time heals automatically, it doesn't. I forgive you because anger takes energy. I need for teaching 50 students who deserve better than my bitterness. But forgiveness lives inside boundaries. I won't meet you privately. I won't pose for redemption photos. I won't help rebuild your reputation. That's your work. Do it without using me. What I will accept your property donation, which I'll transform into proof that genius exists under bridges, not just in boardrooms. The prize money will fund students the system forgot. I'll teach anyone willing to learn, regardless of their postal code. Dr. Okoro says you've been volunteering at Broad Street Kitchen, showing up at 5 a.m., scraping pots, not telling anyone your name. She says you're learning humility through dish soap and anonymity. Good. Keep learning. Bridge Scholars opens January 15th. 50 students, Year 1. If you want to contribute beyond the property, donate to the general fund anonymously. Let mathematics speak louder than guilt. I hope you find whatever you're searching for in those plastic chairs. Ama Kofi read it 3 times, folded it along the original creases, slipped it into his shirt pocket where it sat against his heart like a weight he'd earned. She knew I'd be here. His voice was rough from disuse. She's good with patterns. Dr. Okoro sipped tea that smelled like dried flowers. She's not ready to see you. Maybe never. But she wanted you to know. Forgiveness exists without requiring friendship. Tell her... Kofi stopped, swallowed. Tell her I understand boundaries now. That I'm grateful she drew them. Dr. Okoro stood, left exact change for her tea, paused at his shoulder. What you did at the gala. That was one moment of courage, Kofi. Don't let it be your only one. She left. The bell chimed. Kofi sat with cooling coffee, and Ama's letter and the squeak, squeak, squeak of a fan that wouldn't stop marking time. December 10th, 2 Taklas p.m., Mensah, Foundation Headquarters, his name still on the building, his presence erased from every floor. New board chair Patricia Okonkwo stood before 143 assembled staff, reading reforms Kofi had drafted as his final act. Dignity Initiative, 5-year plan. ₦1,000,000 annual fund for homeless education zero tolerance bias policy. Wrongful removal. Immediate termination. Yearly scholarships for displaced students, quarterly dignity training. Mandatory for all 1,347 security personnel across 37 properties. Ama Ose Endowment, 10 million naira. Administered by Displaced Persons Board grants for street educators, mobile schools, unconventional learning spaces. Named without Kofi's input or approval, Patricia read his final memo aloud. These reforms exist because I tried to silence genius, and genius taught me to listen instead. May we never need another Ama Ose to learn basic decency. Silence. Then applause, tentative at first, then thunderous, but Kofi wasn't there to hear it. He was at Broad Street Kitchen, wearing a stained apron, elbow deep in industrial sink suds, scrubbing burned rice from pots, while a grandmother named Mama Caro taught him the right way to hold a scouring pad. Like this, Oga circular, gentle respect. The pot, he learned, scrubbed, didn't. Correct her when she called him Oga. The irony of being called boss while taking orders from a soup. Kitchen volunteer was a lesson in itself. December 24th, 4:47 p.m. Ido Bridge construction site. Ama stood before walls painted blue, not sky blue, but journal blue. The exact shade of resilience and water that carves through stone over time. The school was taking shape. 2,400 square feet, 8 classrooms, 1 computer lab, 73 desks being carried in by volunteers. Mr. Okafor, elderly teacher, Bridge resident, witness to everything, Walked through the space with tears tracking through the wrinkles on his face. Taught in proper schools 31 years. Never saw anything this honest. It's just paint and furniture. No. He touched the wall like blessing it. It's proof that when they erase you from their world, you build your own world and invite them to learn. Dr. Okoro appeared with her eternal clipboard. 50 enrolled, 93 waitlisted, TED Talk invitation, 6 countries requesting interviews. UNESCO feature. Amma looked at the list, overwhelmed by numbers that used to thrill her, now just representing pressure. I wanted to teach mathematics. You taught math. The world learned humanity. Dr. Okoro smiled. That's what happens when genius refuses erasure. That evening, Amma sat on the bridge's edge, same spot where she'd slept 8 months ago on cardboard that smelled like rain and diesel. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Miss Osei, this is a Fua new phone. Wanted you to know I started patterns everywhere. Free math tutoring at my school for kids who can't afford lessons. 17 students signed up. I used chalk and patience like you taught me. Is this okay? Amma's throat tightened. She typed, it's perfect. And Afua, you were brave when I needed witnesses. Thank you, response immediate. You were always brave. Miss Amma, you just taught me how to recognize it. Amma looked at the school rising behind her. Blue walls. Open doors. Proof that addresses don't define intelligence. Only access does. Looked at Lagos spreading below like circuitry made of light. Looked at stars emerging as darkness deepened. Patterns revealing themselves when harsh light finally dimmed. She whispered to wind, to her father's memory. To the universe that had tried to break her. Papa, we built something. Not from their charity. From what they couldn't steal. The wind carried. Her words across the bridge where genius once slept on concrete and now taught in blue. Rooms with 73 desks and 50 students. Learning that brilliance wears no uniform. It just wears patience and shows up and refuses to disappear. January 15th, 2026. 1 year, 70 days after the gala. The Bridge Scholars Auditorium smelled like fresh paint and nervous excitement. 23 students, ages 14 to 19, everyone formerly homeless, stood in hand-sewn blue graduation sashes. Behind them, a wall displayed 23 acceptance letters. Lagos State University, Yaba Tech, nursing programs, coding boot camps. Not one returning to the streets. Amma stood at the podium in her university lecturer's outfit, simple black dress, the blue journal pendant around her neck. Her hands no longer shook when crowds watched. Her voice carried without trembling. You are proof, she said, looking at faces she'd taught under tarps and in church courtyards. That genius never needed permission. It just needed witness. Kioma, now 10, teaching younger kids fractions, wiped tears. Emeka held his bronze mathematics Olympiad medal. Kwame's sister clutched her nursing school scholarship like scripture. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, Iddo Bridge glowed with murals, African mathematicians rendered in gold and crimson, equations spiraling up concrete pillars, 247 children's handprints spelling genius lives here in paint that caught afternoon sun. Every Saturday, 340 people gathered there for free tutoring. The waiting list had grown to 580 Amma's campus apartment, 3rd floor. East-facing, 420 square feet. Held bookshelves she'd built herself. A desk, where she graded papers and solved new problems. The original blue journal preserved in glass. Below it, brass plaque, March 7th, 2025, when impossible surrendered. 6 kilometers away, Kofi Mensah mopped floors at Broad Street Kitchen. 7 months as anonymous volunteer. 7 months learning that usefulness didn't require authority. Mama Caro still corrected his technique. Oga, overlap your strokes. Don't leave gaps. And he still listened with the humility of someone who'd confused wealth with wisdom for 45 years. His phone buzzed. Text from Afua. Patterns everywhere, just hit 100 students, Dad. Coming Sunday to tell you about it? He typed back. I'd love that. Bring your notebook. Show me your work. They were learning to be father and daughter instead of billionaire and heir. Slowly. With boundaries he finally respected. He'd seen Amma twice from distance, once at a university, lecture he'd attended anonymously in the back row, once crossing Bridge Scholars' courtyard carrying books. Both times she'd glanced his direction, nodded once. Kept walking. It was enough, had to be. Forgiveness without friendship was still forgiveness. That evening, Afua, 13 now, taller, sharper, presented her school research project, Mathematical Models of Social Justice. She argued that inequality followed predictable patterns, and patterns could be disrupted through intentional intervention. The white chalk piece sat beside her notes. She touched it once, then began speaking about a woman who'd taught her that mathematics solves more than equations. It solves what we thought was permanent. Dr. Okoro stood in Bridge Scholars' courtyard as sunset turned the walls amber. She watched Amma teach 6 students advanced calculus on the outdoor chalkboard, patient as water-carving stone. She thought about Ngozi, about genius that had always lived on these streets, waiting for recognition instead of rescue. Amma looked up, caught her watching, smiled, the smile of someone who'd survived erasure and built monuments from the rubble. Dr. Okoro whispered a prayer her grandmother taught her. Chukwu, let those who plant in tears harvest in joy. The harvest was here. 23 graduates, 580 waiting, one woman who'd refused to disappear. Stories like these, African stories rooted in real-life stories, aren't just touching stories we tell around fires. They're African folklore updated for our time. Life stories proving that addresses measure location, never capability. What would you do if someone erased you? Comment below with your story of being underestimated. Have you witnessed brilliance in unexpected places? Share this if you believe genius wears no uniform. Subscribe. We drop new narratives every week where justice meets courage, where one woman's refusal becomes many students' futures. Hit subscribe. Ring that bell. Next story. A market woman defeats corruption using proverbs sharper than lawyers. Every voice counts. Every story teaches. Every viewer here carries the power to rewrite what others call permanent. Welcome to where patterns change.